mediocre minds. My story was no exception. This is a story about someone who was drowning but decided to float above it all. So today I'm here to help you overcome adversity, detox emotionally, and restore your hope, faith, and trust in God Himself. How many of you guys are ready to step into the best part of you? Awesome, let's get started. So my first story is about sinking in society. I was 16 years old. I was kissing some girl under the bleachers. For the first time, I felt like myself. You see, I grew up in this one-horse town. If you blinked, you'd miss Main Street. We drove our tractors to school. And I didn't know anything about the LGBTQ alphabet table. You know, I had no clue what any of that was. But I always knew that I liked girls. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I wasn't really comfortable in the skin I was in, but this was the first time that I felt like myself. So the next day at track, I was super excited. I was like, oh my God, I got to kiss a girl, this is awesome. But then I looked down at my clock and I'm like, reality struck, I have to go to work. So I went into the locker room a little bit early to change for work. And these girls came in and they said, hey Pauline, I heard you're a fag. Before I knew it, they were beating the living snot out of me. It was not the physical trauma that actually messed me up, it was the emotional abuse. You see, the whole time they were hitting me, I was just thinking, like, why are they doing this to me? Because of who I love or who I like? That doesn't even make sense in my world. I love everybody and I would help anybody. So why are you just not liking me for me? I wish I could go back and tell that 16-year-old girl this was going to happen over and over and over again. And there's nothing you can do about it. Society will put you in this little box and they'll try to label you. They'll try to tell you what you can and can't be. But what if I told you it's your own perceptions that define you? Martin Luther King said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Guys, you're doing yourself an injustice if you don't just love the skin you're in and be yourself. You should never have to apologize for simply being you. Guys, will you just love who you are? I hope you do. My second story I have for you is about drowning emotionally. How many of you guys remember COVID? Funny story, I don't. So February of 2020, February of 2020, I got a phone call, I'll never forget. They said, Brand, she's gone. My whole life changed at this point. You see, that person was telling me my mom had unexpectedly passed away. Just tore me apart because she never got a headstone. I never got to tell her goodbye. Didn't have a funeral. Society just threw her away like some piece of trash, and she was truly an earth angel. So I tried to pick up that little box of broken pieces and move forward because I knew that that's how she trained me to be. She always said, spread love and light, Brandy. Be the best of you. So I was going to do that in her honor. That wasn't until March of 2020. My ex of over a decade looked me right in the eye. I thought she was the love of my life. She said she didn't love me anymore. She took our boys and she left. I was devastated. So I did the only thing anybody could possibly do at that time. I just worked myself into oblivion, 70-hour work weeks. And you know what? I said, I'd rather just work my life away at this point. What's it matter? I was growing up the change of success, but I was completely dead inside. So I started drinking on the weekends to fill the time. Before I knew it, I was drinking every night because as the hours died down at work, I didn't know what to do with the sounds of my boys running up and down the hall, laughing and playing. It haunted me. I went from seeing them every day of my life to maybe once a week. That trauma killed me. You see, I never really drank to drink and get drunk. I just didn't want to feel. I didn't want to feel anything. And I remember telling myself, it's fine. I'll get through this. It's just a little bump in the road. That wasn't until my boss called me one day. He said, Brady, you're an awesome employee. This drinking's got to go. You can't do this anymore. It's too much. Alcoholism told me, it's fine, just get a breathalyzer, breathe into it before work, he'll never know the difference, and you can move about your day. Guys, I did this until November November of 2020. In November of 2020, I found myself homeless, laying in the snow, bawling my heart out on my last bag of dog food for my 2 dogs, and my car was about to get repoed. I didn't even know where to go. J.K. Rowling said that rock bottom was a solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. Guys, if rock bottom had a basement, I had the shovel, and I was just going to keep digging until the only way was down or dead at this point. And I got honest with myself. You see, sometimes you have to put your pride aside and just don't be ashamed, because shame isn't going to get you anywhere. Regret's not going to get you anywhere. But when you learn to forgive yourself and truly just let go of what you can't control, that's half the battle. Guys, I hope you learn today to just put all that shame aside and know that there's people out there to help you. Get in the right environment. Don't ever sell yourself less than what you have. Don't drown yourself in emotional abuse anymore. It's not worth it. Tell yourself a new story. My last story I have for you is how faith helped me float. I was 5 years old and this wave swept me up. I actually saw my parents frantically looking for me, and I could see my body bobbing in the water. I felt this feeling that I'd never felt before in my chest. It was this warm, welcoming feeling. I looked up and I seen all these colors they're not even in this world. This lady reached out her hand and she told me to come with her, and I asked her where we were going. And she said it was time to go with her. I told her I didn't want to. I want to go with my parents. Boom, I was back here on planet Earth. It was kind of a shock to me because my parents, the only time they ever believed in God was like, God, please make this car start. Or God, please pay these bills, but never walking with him as a friend, or I really didn't even know who God was, honestly. I was like, I hope he pays our bills, Right? But you remember when I said I was crying in the snow that day? I did something, and I did something that changed my life forever. When I was crying in the snow, I remember telling God, if you really cared about me, this wouldn't happen. You say you're real, you ain't real. You don't care about me at all. Now, I never did anything to anybody, and all I've gotten my entire life was crap. I've never had a normal life from day one. And I just got really mad and really frustrated, and I said, if you were real, you would make this drinking stop. I'm sick of it. I don't want to live like this anymore. And then I did something else. I told my grandma, who was also in heaven, I said, Grandma, I don't want to do this anymore. I never, ever did anything wrong, and I feel like my whole life is a joke. I just want somewhere where I can call home and be safe and not feel the way that I'm feeling right now. And I remember just being so upset and just saying, Grandma, please, if this is what it is, I don't want to be here anymore. Just take me with you. You see, I didn't want to kill myself, but I didn't want to live. I didn't want to be here anymore. Guys, they both answered my prayers that day. Instantly, I heard this little voice in the back of my head that said, get out of the snow and you pour that bottle out. You don't ever touch it again. Guys, I poured that bottle out. I never even got the shakes, and I always got the shakes, and I was always sick. I couldn't believe it. 2 weeks later, I was standing in the driveway at a friend's house who was kind of actually being rude to me. I thought she was my friend. And she was just really negative. But this lady was standing there and heard everything. And she walked over to me and she said, I have a house to give you. And I don't care, we'll work with you on getting the money for the house. But you now have a home. Guys, I live on Alva Avenue. What's so significant about that? My grandma's first name was Alva. Whoa. That is not a coincidence. They both answered my prayers. But, being me, I didn't want to believe in God yet. I didn't have that in me. I remember joining this speaker course, and this guy talking about how he didn't get his religion in a church pew. I'm like, all right, buddy, I'll ping pong that with you. We'll talk about it. And I started realizing something. How selfish am I if I'm not in a community helping others and praying for others and being here for others, especially after what God did for me? I really couldn't believe it. My grandma left me with a quote before she died, and I've walked with it my whole life, and I'm going to share it with you guys. She had said to me, Brady, you got a due date and a death date. You're going to live when you're going to live, and you're going to die when you're going to die. But what you do in the in-between, that is up to you. That is what's important. Guys, I hope you like God in your life. The possibilities are endless once you get there. And He's just put so much love and light in my heart. I'm a walking testimony for what He can do if you believe. The last thing I want to leave you here with tonight is that you guys are all champions. You're all warriors. We have all walked through fires that nobody else has had to deal with. The pain that we've went through makes us who we are today. Guys, a lot of people think that talent is building or acting or designing. But what if I told you it's as simple as pushing a broom around a room? If you don't believe me, ask Matt Paxton from Hoarders. He'll tell you. Now, I'm no Picasso. I can barely use a glue stick, let's be honest. But I can drive a semi to feed America. I can pack a lunch so my kids don't starve from school. And, as sometimes it's as simple, you guys can just open a door for the elderly, and that just made an entire world of difference for the entire day. Or somebody that might be really in pain, just a simple smile could warm up their whole day and change their life. Guys, what hidden talents are you guys not recognizing? I challenge you today to just think of something that you have inside of you that you've been neglecting. That beautiful smile, that love in your heart. Guys, the love in your heart is the most important thing, and when you use it, it radiates throughout your life. I love you guys so much, and God still moves. Thank you.